wait is over. And now, here's your host, Scott Foster.
Hey everybody, so great to be back. Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm so glad you're here. It's been over 2 months since I have put out a pod, and mainly because I got hit by the coronavirus bus and spent 7 weeks kind of laid out pretty much. Couldn't do much. Pneumonia is not a fun thing, and kind of dealing with it, getting back into it. I had a stint in the hospital during my birthday, in fact, so that was not fun. But I do want to give a shout out to the fine folks at St. Luke's Hospital, Mount Sinai, in the Upper West Side of New York City. They were great, especially my nurse, Reggie Roy, who took great care of me and encouraged me every day. It was, I hate hospitals. I hate filming in hospitals, and I hate being in hospitals even more. And it's nothing against the staff. It's just the feeling of being in a hospital. I do not like it. I did not like it. So I'm basically back to health, and I'm glad to be here. And I'm ready to rock and roll. Give you some fun stuff. If you haven't been here before, if this is your first time tuning in, or in case you forgot what I'm all about, I start out by just talking about some things that we've missed in news and events. Clearly, especially right now, we have a lot going on in our world, in our country. But then I jump in and I cull from my Twitter feed some fun questions and things that other people have put out there. So it's kind of like a little random thing, not so random, but I throw out some questions to you to get back at me, to think about. And always you can get back at me, 80_Foster at Twitter, or even on Instagram. Can be found same place, both places. Not going to go into too much detail because we can spend a whole podcast on it, and I'm definitely no expert to talk about it, but cannot go any further without acknowledging what's going on in our country right now with regards to the protests and the resulting violence on both sides, not just the protesters, but also by the police and the military and other people that have been dragged into this whole thing. And of course, the destruction that's happened that is not part of the protesting, not part of why the protesters are protesting. And it's pretty amazing to see. They came up our street here in the Upper West Side yesterday. Pretty powerful stuff. And let's hope something comes out of it. With that, let's jump into some fun things.
And now, it's time for What Happened Since We Last Talked.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
And yeah, so that was the sound of a space rocket carrying men from the United States, from United States soil. In the midst of this madness, beginning of the madness, we had something to cheer about and to be happy about as SpaceX and Dragon took off with astronaut Doug, astronaut Bob to the space station for the first time on U.S. soil since July 8th, 2011. Just for me especially, I've always wanted to be an astronaut when I grew up. Still do when I grow up. And it was really great to see. And it's a big step in us getting back to the moon, getting back to Mars, and congratulations to NASA and SpaceX, and excited for the future. The next, of course, they still have to come home, but after that, October is slated to be the next launch from the United States with some Americans on board. And soon, you too can take a ride on a SpaceX if you have the right money. But that's designed, the ultimate design of SpaceX is to allow anyone who can afford it to hop on, take the ride to space, and who knows, years from now, maybe even go to the moon and Mars themselves. What do you think? Let me know about that. I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are about our return to space flights. AD_Foster, Twitter and Instagram. So yes, so the big news, other than the unrest that's happening in our country right now, is we're still dealing with the coronavirus. It's still there. It may not be as serious. Lots of most all the states have relaxed their lockdown somewhat. Here in New York City, we are about to begin our first phase finally. A lot of relaxed areas have also had an increase in their numbers since. So it's a very mixed bag, and we'll see what happens with this. But the rates of cases and deaths are going down across the country and across the world. So that's good to see. It's very much things starting to open up and trying to get back to normal as possible. Pretty much, almost every country that was hit and had these severe cases, like us, like the UK, like Italy, like Spain, and so forth, they've all been hit economically. And so the other than getting their people sick, healthy, and getting this eradicated, the main focus is trying to get their economies back online. And one way certainly is hopefully getting the public more involved in things, opening up our restaurants and seeing what happens there. Let's just hope it's on the down level and not going to spike, because that would be bad for all of us. One of the cool things that have emerged from this, because we don't have movie theaters, we don't have places to go watch movies, and I talked about it once before, the resurgence of drive-ins. If you've never been to a drive-in, I encourage you to take the opportunity, find one close to you. There's over 300 in the country. I don't know if they're all open now, but it's a really neat experience. Some are probably reopening recently, especially this time of year. We all miss our big blockbusters. Lots have already been moved. The big one, Tenet, Christopher Nolan's new movie, still has yet to change its date, and it's still hopeful that it may be the first big movie to be released since this all began. But you have the drive-ins are making a resurgence, running the latest releases, which is awesome. And the other cool thing is the NFL and baseball stadiums are getting involved. The Miami Dolphins will start having cars drive in on their field and to watch drive-ins, watch the movies in their stadium. How cool is that? And I know the Texas Rangers are going to set up something similar, but in their parking lots. So you're probably going to see this happening if these two cases are successful. It'll be a very interesting thing to see, especially if it takes a while for the NFL and the baseball teams to get started. I know they're both starting to ramp up, but how long before we see the first games? And they've lost money, they've lost revenue. So again, all these opportunities for them to try and get some of that revenue back in exciting ways. So that'd be really interesting to see. Have you been to a drive-in? Let me know. It's been a while. My last time I went to a drive-in was Benji's Theater in Maryland, in a really great place to go watch a movie. They have triple headers. Sometimes even in the fall when it's dark out later and longer, they have 4 movies going, and the prices were great. It was awesome. Of course, you're there till 3 a.m, and it's kind of a late night, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun to go to a drive-in. I've been going. I went early when I was a kid, so there's always been a part of my life. Now on to one of my favorites. I'm so glad for me. Again, it's minor compared to what's going on, but the fact that we had no soccer, my Saturdays and Sunday mornings were changed for the lack of soccer in the morning, but now it's back. The Bundesliga, Germany's European football club, has come back. This is going to be their 3rd match week now. And then starting next week, we have La Liga, the Spanish league, coming back. And then a week after that, Premier League, my favorite league in Europe, the English Premier League, come back. So it's going to be exciting, and things are starting to get back to normal. Of course, no fans allowed in any stadiums. And, the players have all been quarantined, so there's no outside contact. And so far, so good with the Bundesliga's experiment. And we'll see, hopefully the same thing happens with Premier League and La Liga. And we'll see what happens in that. Now, what it does, it just extends their season into August. By now, almost every league has finished up. Even the Champions League ended this past weekend last year. So, there's a crunch time of trying to fit all these games into as much as possible so we don't interfere with the next season, which usually for Premier League starts in mid-August, and for some of the other leagues in first weekend of September. So seeing how that's all going to play out. You also have players' contracts. Players' contracts run until June 30th. Now, there's still, at least for Premier League, there's not been an official word on what happens then. Will the team member just leave or get traded, transferred, if you will? Or is there an extension of the contract? Lots of these things have been talked about, and so we'll see how that plays out. Very, very interesting. Here in the U.S., Major League Soccer and the United States Women's League, both going to do a tournament type thing where they'll do like a round robin tournament to try and to kind of condense their seasons and finish those seasons as quickly as possible. The MLS just agreeing to that. There was some financial disputes between the Players League and the team owners. So we'll see what happens there. That should be interesting. Motor racing. NASCAR was the second sport to come back after Bundesliga. Major safety precautions made for them. I was really impressed with how NASCAR did and what they did with trying to get the sport back, making it safe for the crews and the car drivers to race. Again, no fans in the stands, unfortunately. And it really wasn't that bad to watch on TV. The night race made it a little bit bearable without fans, but still, it seemed like everybody did a really good job. Car race is a car race. It's not so much with the fans there. Like with soccer matches, the Bundesliga is absolutely odd to watch without any fans. But at the same time, the sport is back, and so we'll see how long we have to go without fans in the stands. Formula One, also getting back into it, hoping the July 4th weekend, first races at Austria GP. They've outlined their first 8 races, I believe, and it's very exciting because they're trying to get as much into the schedule as possible without interfering and without disrupting the schedule for the next season. Right now, the plan is for them to run into December when their schedule usually ends the first week in November, maybe second week. So we'll see what happens there. IndyCar starts this weekend with the Grand Prix of Texas. So that'll be exciting and see what happens there. See what precautions they've taken. I'm sure they've taken a little playbook from NASCAR just to make sure that everybody's safe, all the drivers are safe, all the crews, and kind of doing what they can to not spread this virus. The NHL, regular season's over. Glad to be some ice back. The regular season is over. They're going to pick 2 cities, which as this recording, I've not heard that the 2 cities have been picked, but two round robin teams of 24 teams total, 12 on each side, round robin tournament to eventually come to the Stanley Cup, and 2 teams standing to decide who wins this interestingly shaped NHL season. The NBA also trying to kickstart their season, and they've decided that training camp begins July 9th, And this season will end, the 2021 season will end. Sorry, the 1920 season will end in mid-October. The 2021 season will start in December. So again, doing what they can to not interrupt the next season as much, but at the same time, players want to get the season done to kind of get back to some kind of normalcy. And it's great to see all the teams trying to work it out between the players, the team owners. You got advertising in there, so many things and to think about when it's just not, okay, we need to do this, we're going to do that. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on all this. Do you think the sport should be coming back? Do you think they should just scrap this season and play on? I know it's probably, the answer is different for NHL, MLB, NBA. It's different across the sport. But I'm curious to know, what do you think? AD_Foster, let me know. Twitter and Instagram. Curious of your thoughts. The one casualty of this all, sports-wise, the XFL. Just can't seem to get it going. They tried once back in 2001 and didn't last a season. And because of coronavirus, it had a good start. It really did. It had a decent showing. The fans in the stands, the people were watching it, people watching it at home, and the games were entertaining with the different rules and all, and the basically players from nowhere, if you will. But unfortunately, coronavirus has bankrupted the XFL, and it will be no longer. I would be surprised if there'd be any other attempt to birth a new XFL type of league anytime soon. So that's unfortunate. And that's kind of your sports update regarding the after Corona life, if you will, of our sports across the world, and particularly here in the United States. Helping you out if you didn't know. Let me know. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on what do you think is going to happen with these various sports. My love is soccer, so I'm very interested to see how it's going to play out sports-wise and particularly transfer-wise. And so it's going to be a very interesting summer with regards to all those things. Again, notwithstanding the more serious stuff going on around the world and particularly in our country. Now, one of the things that has happened with Corona life is people have new hobbies, new things, and families home, both parents, all the family members, the adult kids home almost 24/7. And what are some new hobbies that you picked up? What are the things that you've done or honed on your skills? For me, when I was able to, is learning more how to do better podcasts, how to do better photography. And so how many of you have started cooking or even baking? Yes, they're two separate things. They very much well are. Two different skill sets. And I'm a good cook, decent cook. I'm not a good baker. So do you have a new recipe, a favorite recipe that you learned and made? If you are a cook or if you're just learning to cook, or what are some of the other fun new hobbies that you've developed and learned over this time that we've had to spend inside? Let me know. Twitter or Instagram, AD_Foster.
And now, a word from our sponsors. 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 And now, a word from our sponsors.
I never thought I'd be doing a podcast until I discovered how easy it was to get started using Anchor. Within minutes, I was up and running on my phone and recorded my first podcast on my phone. But you can also use the Anchor website on your laptop, on your computer, and switch between the two. Let me tell you why Anchor is a better choice above all the choices out there for doing your podcast. Number one, it's free. Who doesn't like free? Number two, Anchor walks you through the steps of creating, recording, and getting your podcast on all the major platforms. It does the legwork for you. Number 3, you can make money from your podcast right from your first listener. Who likes making money? This guy. Anchor is the complete package when it comes to producing your podcast on your phone or your computer. So go to your app store, download the Anchor app, or go to the website, anchor.fm, and get started. That's all you have to do to get your podcast underway.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. I'm ready to dive into my tweets, throw them out to you, let you answer, think about them, and respond to me. Our first tweet comes from Dave Vescio at DAVEVESCIO. And he asks, for $1 million, which movie would you watch for 24 hours straight? Now, it seems like an easy question, doesn't it? But there's so many things to consider. So many movies to choose from. What's going to keep you, and you can't go to sleep, you have to watch it 24 hours straight. Now, what's going to keep you engaged and involved? You can't be on your phone, you can't be on your iPad, you can't be reading a book, but you're going to watch it 24 hours straight. So, do you choose a long movie? Do you choose a short movie? And what kind of genre do you choose? Do you choose a love story? Now, maybe if you choose to do this with your loved one, maybe you do. Or do you choose an action movie, one that's gonna throw out the noise and you turn your sound way up so that it makes sure you don't fall asleep and you get that boom and crash and all that loud stuff to keep you awake for 24 hours? Or do you pick a drama, just something that's tight, well done, well crafted, great script that just keeps you engaged? So many choices, so many directions to choose from. You know, we all have our top 5, even our top 10 of movies, but not all of those movies are fit for continuously 24-hour straight viewing. The same movie over and over again. And then when do you start the movie? Are you a night person? Are you a morning person? So do you start the movie at noon? Do you start it at midnight? Do you kind of get over your tough hours first? So if you're have a normal schedule and you go to sleep at 10 o'clock, do you start the movie then or at midnight so that you're pushing through the time you usually sleep first? So many things to think about and to not risk losing that $1 million. And then what are your choices? I want to know, what are your choices for the one movie that you would watch 24 hours straight? No TV, no books, no phones in your hands, nothing. You're not having a conversation with your neighbor as you guys are watching it. One movie. My choices, I have 3 that I believe I could watch for 24 hours straight and would engage me and it would make me not want to do those other things. So my choices: The Godfather 2. Amazing movie. It's long, so it's going to take a good chunk of the time each time you watch it. And it's going to keep me engaged. It's an amazing movie. Still holds up, even though it was done ages ago, years ago. And I think it's a well-crafted choice. Braveheart's my other one. I really like the story. The period always intrigues me, of the Scots versus the British, the English, and that whole time period. And of course, it's just a well-made movie. And there's even a love story in there. There's the drama. There's the fighting. So you have all of those things. Now, if I wanted to go with an action kind of sci-fi thing, I'm a sci-fi guy. I love science fiction, love the genre, love a good sci-fi movie. I'm going to go with Aliens. can't be beat. I can watch. That's a movie that's, we have our movies that every time it's on, we're just going to watch it. And Aliens is definitely for me. And I can certainly say that I can watch Aliens or even the other two movies 24 hours straight, focused on it, and win me $1 million bucks. Let me know your choices. Get at me. AD_Foster on Twitter or Instagram. I want to know what's going to win you $1 million bucks.
Welcome back.
All right, on to our next tweet, and it comes from Mocha Mom at MOCHAMOMM. And they ask, if you could Zoom with any celebrity, who would it be? So now we're still in the throes of this coronavirus. Many of us still are in some form of lockdown where we can't go and work, we can't see our family, or just still kind of not having the opportunity to do the regular things we do on a daily face-to-face basis. So we've probably all done some type of Skyping, video chat, Zooming's the real big thing, and probably will continue to do this beyond the restrictions in the lockdown. And so we've all become familiar with some kind of thing. And so if we had an opportunity to say one person, let's chat with, let's Zoom with and video chat, who would that be? Now, it's not an easy question because the thing is you're asking for somebody's time and you just can't, hey, what's up? They don't know you from Adam. And so you got to have a plan. You just can't turn on your Zoom and there they are and be like, hey, because you guys don't get bored. And so you got to take the opportunity to think about what you want to ask them. What kind of conversations are you going to engage in? What do you want to engage with them about? So, and then, is it an actor? Is it a sports person? Is it your favorite novelist? All those things. So making sure you take the opportunity to plan and actually research. I belong to Flaviar.com, which is it's a liquor club, for lack of a better word, but they have these Nightcap Live events. And it's really fun because it's on YouTube and you get to interact and see somebody talk. In the past, two have been celebrity type folks, and you get to ask them questions through YouTube. You know how that works if you use that at all. But what's interesting about it is that you prepare questions and you have the opportunity to kind of, the moderator that runs the Nightcap Live, they throw out those questions that kind of get them talking. So you need those questions that are going to get them talking. And you can't go into it blind. I know I'm talking about this like it's a real thing, but maybe some of you have the opportunity, which would be awesome. But I want to make sure you do it and have fun with it and get something out of it. So who would your celebrity Zoom person be? Mine? One of two directors. They both fascinate me. I love their work, and having been given the chance to work with both of them, just really neat to see them work and how they approach making a movie. So for me, Steven Spielberg or Ridley Scott would be my choices of Zooming. And yes, I gave two, but if Spielberg wasn't available, my next choice would be Ridley Scott. Who are yours? Let me know. Tweet me or throw me up on Instagram, AD_Foster. Who is your celebrity Zoom call? So I try not to give tweets that are from famous people or celebrities or the like, but this one from Hank Azaria, the actor, yes, at Hank Azaria. I couldn't resist. It's such a fun one and a fun way to end the podcast. He asks, what was your first concert? The band, the concert venue, your year, and your age. And we all have different first concert experiences. whether we couldn't go when we were young because our parents would have let us, we couldn't go until we were able to drive because the venue's far away, or maybe depending where you are in the world, you don't have a close venue to you, and you couldn't easily get to your favorite concert that you wanted to go to at any point. So it's all of our first concerts are different, and I'd love to hear from you guys what they were, who they were, and where they were. I'm sure it's just a varied group of answers. Me, my first concert, way back in the 80s, Men at Work and Red Rockers. Now, if you don't know who either of those bands are, Men at Work were a group from down under in Australia, and they had some pretty good albums that came out, and especially right at the beginning, during their time, MTV came up, so of course the videos happened, and it was the height of the 80s pop, and they put out some pretty darn music, including Who Can It Be Now, Down Under, Overkill, Johnny B. Good. So I encourage you to take a look at them and find their two probably better, more popular albums, Business as Usual and Cargo was their first two albums. Meanwhile, the Red Rockers were a new band out of Louisiana and kind of up-and-comers, trying to be like a little bit like clashy and kind of Sex Pistolish, if you will. And they never really made it. Unfortunately, their reign in the pop world and music world kind of ended probably soon after this tour was over. I think they kind of disbanded in 1985. So kind of gives you an idea of where I was when I saw this concert. Where I was SPAC, the Saratoga Performing Arts Center, up in north of Albany. Beautiful amphitheater, so it had the open air arena, seats and everything, stage, but then it had a huge lawn experience, and that was always fun. I most of my times there was lawn, and this time was lawn, so you're far away from the artist, but you still got to hear it and have a good time hanging out. And what I remember well from my first time at SPAC was the marshmallow fights. So apparently there's tradition of bringing marshmallows to SPAC and just tossing around the whole lawn area. So that was a lot of fun. So that was my experience. I will tell you that I was 13 years old when I saw this. Now, tell me yours. Let me know. I want to know your first concert and where it was and how old you were. Hit me up at Twitter or Instagram, AD_Foster. All right, so yes, it is time to bring another episode of Tweet Talk to an end, to a close. But before I go, there are two things that are gripping our country, gripping the world right now. And the coronavirus is not over. It is not gone by any means. Yes, we've lowered the curve. We've flattened it out in most countries across the country, in all our states, but it's still there. Please wear your masks. Please don't just think that it's over or you're too good to wear a mask, because you could still be a carrier. Just be respectful until your government, your country says, your state says that you don't have to wear a mask anymore. And I ask that of you all. And in regards to the protests that are going on right now, there's a lot of work to do in the world. So just do your part. Be nice. It doesn't take a lot to be nice. And there's no reason to, hate's a horrible thing. And it's so much easier to just smile at somebody. You don't have to be their best friend. You don't have to believe what they believe in or what their religion is or whatever their color is, but just respect them. That's all they ask for. And that's all we can do, and it's so easy to do. And this country, this world would be a much better place. My 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. I thank you very much, and I encourage you to get back with me. Tweet me your thoughts on the show. Hit me up on Instagram, AD_Foster, both places. And feel free to review me wherever you found me. I really do appreciate you, and hopefully it won't take this long again to get you out a new episode. That's all for now. Be good to each other. Enjoy. See you next time on Tweet Talk.